on. I just thought I'd go live for a while and talk music and show you what I've had on my turntable this week so far. Uh, I usually come on and play ukulele and things like that, but I love to talk music too. So, anyway, whether anyone's in here or not, I'm going to talk music. So, let's do it. First up on the list, I've had Black Oak, Arkansas on the turntable. If you haven't heard them, I highly suggest it. Like, I'm not going to tell you it's the greatest album in the world, but it's very notable. Atco Records, they've put out a lot of good stuff. Lead singer Jim Dandy is very David Lee Roth esque. I'm not saying that he influenced David Lee Roth because I can't say that for sure, but I'd say I wouldn't be surprised because them with Van Halen would have been a heck of a show, honestly. But if you're into Southern rock and just great rock and roll, and like I said, a lead singer that's flamboyant and high energy like David Lee Roth, then I highly suggest their earlier albums. I'd suggest more than this one, but nonetheless, Black Oak, Arkansas. That's been on my turntable this today. Next up, Buck Dharma, Flat Out. Beautiful cover there, great cover, just him hanging out on a classic car. That's really cool. Buck Dharma was the lead guitar, wasn't is lead guitarist and one of the primary songwriters of Blue Oyster Cult. He's a heck of a guitarist. He's very, very, very underrated. I don't know why he's not mentioned more in guitar circles. I don't know why Blue Oyster Cult isn't mentioned more in rock circles or, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which in my opinion doesn't mean anything. It really doesn't. It's a reward of popularity, or whoever, whatever money's behind it decides what's going into it, or the New York Dolls would be there as well. But I'm a huge Blue Oyster Cult fan. Buck Dharma here wrote Don't Fear the Reaper, I Love the Night. He wrote a large majority of Blue Oyster Cult's hits. So did Sandy Pearlman, the producer. In fact, Sandy Pearlman, the producer, actually came up with the name, the concept, and a lot of the songwriting. But that's a whole nother Blue Oyster Cult conversation. But as far as solo albums go, like I said, Buck Dharma, Flat Out. You can't go wrong with it. If you're expecting Blue Oyster Cult from it, then you're going to be disappointed. It's his songwriting and the melodies and everything are very, along the same lines, but it has a totally different feel. You see Buck's his love for things like doo-wop and classic rock and pop, which all those things became, except for probably not too much doo-wop influence with Blue Oyster Cult, but on this album you can really see all of his influences come to light. Hello there. Thank you so much, and thank you guys for tuning in. I'm sorry I can't see the comments that well. But Buck Dharma, Flat Out, I was lucky enough to score that one for my collection and just listen to it. It was fantastic. One of my personal favorites of all time, Nazareth, Hair of the Dog. First of all, check out that album work, that album cover work. The art, yeah. It's fantastic. Imagine having that, buying that off the shelf as a kid and opening it for the first time. That's how I felt when I got this copy. I got to open it out of the cellophane, and it was a great experience, especially in mint condition on this one. I was lucky enough to score this through a customer that I had when I ran my little record spot. Me and my wife ran a secondhand store, and I started out with one crate of records. And then I ended up moving up to where half the store was a record store. I ordered new records and bought and sold and traded records. It was a fun time in my life, and it renewed my love in music. But anyway, Nazareth, Hair of the Dog. If you have, I'm sure you've heard the song Hair of the Dog. It's got a very memorable guitar riff and chorus. Now you're messing with yeah. And this also has Love Hurts on it, which is a fantastic cover of the Everly Brothers song Love Hurts. Graham Parsons did a fantastic cover of it too. But this here is iconic. It's been in several movies. This album is one of the very few albums that I would call perfect from beginning to end, meaning there's no need to ignore or skip past any song. Never once have I listened to this and been like, oh man, that song they could have left out. Never once. There is no filler material on this album. Hair of the Dog, great song, classic song. Miss Misery, dang, that guitar riff in that. Love Hurts, of course. Changing Times is a killer song. Beggar's Day is off the hook. Rose and the Heather's good. Whiskey Drinking Woman is one of the better ones on the album for sure. Please Don't Judas Me, one of my favorite hard rock tracks of all time. This album you could probably get in a record store or online. I suggest online for this. You could probably get it for $10, $15 brand new. I definitely suggest you do it. If you're lucky enough to find one in the wild for a couple dollars, especially original issue, grab that sucker up for sure. I'm a bargain buyer. I go to flea markets, thrift stores, anywhere I can, because at this point in life I can't really afford to go drop money on new records. I can't justify it, especially with the cost of things today and where we are finance wise. But I'm lucky enough to have amassed a decent collection of a few hundred. But Nazareth, Hair of the Dog, that's been on the turntable. For those of you that missed, the first two were Buck Dharma's Flat Out, Black Oak, Arkansas. Now, for the Black Sabbath, We Sold Our Soul for Rock and Roll. This album is very, very special to me. There we go. It's a 2-record set. Hey, good morning. Hey, thank you for popping in and saying hi. This album is the very first collection of songs that I heard, and the very first album I heard by Black Sabbath when I was 15. I picked up the CD in a bargain bin at a local grocery store because I grew up in Kansas, and I grew up in a town that didn't have Walmarts, it didn't have record stores. We were lucky to have the IGA store, which was the grocery store, and they happened to have one little bin of bargain CDs, and a short version of this album, We Sold Our Soul for Rock and Roll, was in there. It had Warning, Black Sabbath, the song, The Wizard, Paranoid, War Pigs, Iron Man, and Wicked World on it. And it blew my mind, which I don't have to tell any of you that if you've heard Black Sabbath. They're one of the greatest bands of all time. I can't tell you enough how much I love them and how much it changed my life to hear this album. Besides the songs I already mentioned, it also has Tomorrow's Dream, Fairies Wear Boots, Changes, which, of course, Ozzy remade popular during his solo career, and then his daughter did a version of it too, Sweet Leaf, which who doesn't like that, you know? Every stoner loves that song. Children of the Grave, which that galloping bass line in that was used a lot by future harder metal bands. Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, Am I Going Insane, which is a way different song than a lot of their other stuff. It's really good. Laguna Sunrise, Snowblind, and the almighty NIB. But this album, and it's has not been remastered. This record hasn't, so this is the original issue. I put it on the turntable the day my wife got it for me. She found this one for, I think it was $4 in a record bin in a thrift store in Roseburg, Oregon. And I cannot tell you how thrilled I was when she came through the door and was like, well, I found something you might be interested in. I was like, might be. I was like, let's put that sucker on right now. But yeah, if you haven't heard this collection, I think it's the go-to collection of Black Sabbath songs. Now, it wasn't an official album per se, because it's a collection of songs from different albums. A lot of them from the very first album and from Paranoid, and some tracks from Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath. That song itself is the only track off that album, but yes. All right. Now, I just purchased this, and I've heard the album a million times. I love the album. So I picked it up at Walmart, and most Walmart pressings are imports. This one's made in Italy because very few records are pressed in the United States now. Loretta Lynn's last official record, Van Leer Rose, was pressed here in the United States by Jack Black's company, Third Man Records, I believe it is. Don't quote me on that. But it was the first album she had done since 20, 30 years before that. But it was the first album that had been pressed in the United States, especially on new pressing machines, for years at that point. I was honestly surprised when I opened this one and saw the record, because it didn't say that it was colored vinyl. And so when I opened it, I was nicely surprised with this. Like I said, nice colored vinyl. And the reason why most vinyl is limited pressing is because when they press colored vinyl, they have to completely clean the heads. And then once the pressing is done, and what that means, shutting down the entire plant. And then after the pressing is done, then they have to clean the heads completely again to get back to pressing regular, the regular typical black vinyl. So yeah, it's quite a process, and a lot of people don't realize that until you look into doing things like that. Ryan, that's a good way to get yourself just flat blocked from here, because I don't have time for juvenile crap like that, and that's the only thing I'm going to say to that. Let me go get you a couple more records to show you real quick. Hold on one second, guys. This is one of my favorites from the collection. It hasn't been on the turntable yet today. But Love and Rockets, Earth, Sun, Moon. If you're into Depeche Mode, and you're into The Cure, and you're into early goth and synth type stuff, this is a great band, and this is, in all honesty, my personal favorite out of their albums that I've heard. This band sprung from the ashes of Bauhaus, which was arguably the first gothic band. Came out with the song Bela Lugosi's Dead. Stigmata Martyr was featured in Night of the Demons, the horror movie from the late 80s. But Bauhaus is very notable. I have them in my collection as well. I'll show you some other time. But Love and Rockets, I can't recommend enough for you. I'm battling that, so we're just going to set that aside before I mess up my sleeve. For those of you that just tuned in, this is what we've gone through so far. ZZ Top, Eliminator. Sabbath, We Sold Our Souls for Rock and Roll. Nazareth, Hair of the Dog. And Buck Dharma, the guitarist for the almighty Blue Oyster Cult. These are records that I've had on my turntable today, or that are going on my turntable today. I was lucky enough to score a really nice system that I still owe money for. A 1970s Pioneer system with the equalizer, the receiver, the tape player, and the turntable. All restored. Nice clean shape, blue lights on the blue LED lights installed on the face of the receiver, so I'm very lucky, and a couple of JBL speakers. So for once, I've got a nice turntable set up. I had an Audio Technica, which are very, very nice players. I suggest that if you don't have a decent player, get an Audio Technica. The Crosleys are good to start with if you're playing $2 banged up records on, but don't put your nice records on a Crosley. The little suitcase ones you get from Walmart. The needle will dig right into your record. Just like if you have a really nice turntable and a really expensive stylus on it, don't play a really banged up, dirty, scratchy record on that. You're going to ruin your stylus. But with the Crosleys, you'll seriously ruin your records. Like that's when you see records that just look like they've been played so much they've worn down to nothing, more than likely it's been on a cheap stereo. Because a stylus should not dig into your record at all. You should be able to play that record 10,000 times and not be able to tell it was played. And that's real. On a cheaper player, like I said, it'll dig into the grooves and it'll ruin your record. You may get away with it for a year or two of playing the hell out of a record on a Crosley, but it's going to affect your record. It's going to ruin it. Like I said, save your Crosleys. If you just started collecting and you don't have anything super valuable in your collection, then go ahead and use the Crosley till you upgrade. But like I said, nice records, no. Which, speaking of that this is an original issue too. It's a little harder to find, about $100, $70 to $100 online for the original issue. I was lucky enough and scored this one at the same thrift store that my wife scored the Black Sabbath at, and then I was lucky enough and scored the same album again, still wrapped in the cellophane, unopened. Let me show you that one. And again, this is an original issue too. Still factory sealed. Still has the hype sticker on it. Very cool. Like I said, these guys sprung from the ashes of what was Baja's, which, like I said, if you haven't heard them, go check out the song Bela Lugosi's Dead. And if you don't get into that song, then you're probably not going to like Baja's. And at the same time, if you expect all their songs to sound like that, you're probably not going to like Baja's either. But it's a good place to start. It really is. Any of you collect records? I'm sure some of you do. I'm sure you wouldn't be here if you didn't. But I'd love to see your collections too. There's an option on here to take other people live with you and invite other people live, and I'd love to have some kind of group chat where we could invite 2 or 3 people and just talk music and show off our record collections. And when I show these off, I'm not like one of those guys like, look what fine stuff I have in my record collection. It's not about that. If it's original issue and it's nice, I'm going to tell you just because I'm lucky enough to have gotten my hands on it. I'm not rich. I can't afford new records. These are just things that came about when me and my wife ran our little secondhand store, and I started a record section in it. And a couple my wife has bought me along the way at other thrift stores. And the only thing new in my collection that I've paid for brand new is a Robert Johnson my wife got me for Christmas, which was like $20, and which is the most important record in my collection. But yeah, you get your records where you can, where it's not going to break your wallet. And if you can afford nice vinyl, then more power to you, and I'd love to see it, that's for sure. If I had my way about it, I'd probably have an airplane hangar full of vinyl. It'd be like a library in there. I'm a music file. I've probably listened to enough albums in my life, and this isn't an exaggeration, that I could sit here and give you a top 500 of my favorite albums of all time, and probably tell you at least 60% of the songs contained on each one, if not the complete album for the most part. Some albums I can't do that with. Like, I'm a Bad Company fan, but I'm a topical Bad Company fan. So I've got one album and I know the hits off it, but I listen to the whole thing. But most albums that I'd list on my top 500, I've absorbed. I've absorbed the history of the band. I've absorbed the album enough times. It's in my DNA practically. I don't come from a musical background. I'm not one of these people that are automatically gifted to music or not, but I play around with ukulele a little, and I collect records and I talk music history, and I'm one of those old, boring music nerd guys. But while we're here and we're talking records and all that, maybe I'll just play a song real quick, play around. Hope you like Bob Dylan. Heck yeah. Dude, for real, it is completely addictive. I'm looking at them right now, so I'm guessing I've got about 400 records, cover and all. But then I bought a lot of records when we owned a place, and we owned a secondhand store and barely paid our bills. It wasn't like a Target or anything. And I started collecting records then because I was buying them from people and trading them. But I've probably got about 400 like this, but I also bought a bunch that were in mint condition but didn't have the covers. And I wasn't going to throw away or, good records. It's the music on them that matters, not the cover, unless you're just collecting to collect. And I've got everything in that, and just sleeves and near mint records, and some a little lower quality too. But everything from Kiss's entire '70s collection to Motley Crue's "Shout at the Devil," "Theater of Pain," to almost the entire Bob Dylan collection. All with, like I said, just the sleeves on those. But if I amassed all of our records, 45s and all, you're probably talking about 1,500 records right now. Like I said, full-length records with cover and everything intact, I have got about 400. 350, 450, I'd say somewhere in that range. And it's everything from Adele to ZZ Top to Lightning Hopkins. I've even got the Sugar Hill Gang in there. Like I said, I'm a music fanatic, and the addiction of records is crazy because once you start collecting records, especially if you have a decent record player, the better the record player you get, the more addicted the records are going to get. Because I started out with a Crosley, which, like I said, don't put your good records on it. But if you're starting out, it's okay till you upgrade. But I just recently got lucky and got my hands on the 1970s system I was telling you all about, and I'm hearing things in the records that I've never heard my entire life. And sorry, that's my niece calling. Uh, but yeah, the player matters. That's for sure. Now that I've got this new system, I'm really, really excited about getting more records and new records. Definitely, dude. Definitely, it gives it character. But another reason why this is addictive is because this isn't like buying a CD or listening to an MP3, which CDs were very cool too. It's the first thing I ever collected music-wise, and I had a huge collection when I was younger. Unfortunately, I lost it through the years due to bad decisions and personal issues. But with the records, you have a piece of art in your hands. You've got liner notes, you've got song listings, and if not, even if all you got is the record itself, you've got a superior sound, and it is a superior sound because, like I said, you can hear music and tones that you can't hear on an MP3 and you can't hear on a CD. Tape's really cool too, but nothing like record, of course. And anybody that's ever dropped a needle on this album here for sure will tell you it sounds a lot different kicking out of a pair of JBLs on a old 70s turntable. Dude, if you ever come online and we can figure out how to do this, inviting people live or whatever, I would love to see parts of your collection. I'm going to show a lot more of mine. I'm organizing it and I'm going through it. These are just ones I've had on the turntable today and a couple that I've got picked out that are definitely going on the turntable today. Hold on and I'll show you my system. Try my best to anyway. Here's my turntable. Blue Oyster Cult slip mat. It's a 1970s Pioneer. And then over here, 1970s, there you go. That nice blue tint, LED lights installed in there. The rest has been cleaned and restored. Tape equalizer and tape, which I haven't used yet. I don't use the tape equalizer because I haven't used the tape. And this has its own settings and does just fine. And then here are the JBL speakers, which are very nice as well. But yeah, that's what I'm working with personally. And I couldn't be happier. It's definitely my permanent system. A little preamp. 60 watt. Oh, dude, yeah. Yeah, that's a good setup, dude. For real. And they do tell a story through the years, dude. This right here is a new copy that I opened myself. I was lucky enough to get my hands on. My old copy, which unfortunately got snatched at the store when I moved out, left my old partner and some stuff behind and things come up missing. You know how that works. But I had an original issue that was all scratched up. It was really too rough to have on my turntable, but it sounded great with its roughness. And man, if that record could tell stories, I can only imagine. The reason why most of those hard rock records are so banged up when you get them is, let's face it, we were some hard drinking guys in those days, and that generation for sure. By the time my generation came out and discovered it, I'm Generation X, but I'm the guys that were just a few years older than me. I'm at the tail end of Generation X, but grew up around a lot of people's older brothers and stuff. When I was 15, they were in their 20s, and they were hard drinking, hard rock listening guys. So of course I gravitated towards Sabbath and Nazareth and Bad Company and all these great 70s groups and Kiss, Blue Oyster Cult. But all the other kids were into like glam metal and all that, and I was too. Trust me, I was a huge Guns N' Roses fan, still are. Poison, I could go on and on about glam metal, but what got me started in music as far as finding my true love in music and rock music, like I said, it was Sabbath, Nazareth. The very first CD I bought for myself was AC/DC's Highway to Hell. And once I heard it, it changed my life, and I was hooked. I was a hard rock fan for life after that. Even after I discovered punk rock and went through that hardcore stage in life and stuff, rock music was always there. Always there. Oh man, Leonard Skinner, dude, for real. I've got one more for the road. Gold and platinum, nothing fancy, and give me back my bullets. I still need to add. Oh, dude, hey brother, how you doing? I'm doing better, man. This infection is almost gone. So I'm feeling more and more like myself, liked and subscribed. Man, thank you. Thank you so much. You don't know how much that means. My wife does a lot of content on our channel too. She makes stuff and bakes stuff, and she's a lot more interesting than me. But I come on here pretty often. I post ukulele videos. I come on and play ukulele. I talk music like this. We're trying to just do our thing and do it together, and it's been a lot of fun. And honestly, it's very fulfilling to come on here live. I thought I was going to be nervous about it because I have social anxiety, but once I started doing it and realized how many positive people there are out there. Thank you, dude. Um, it really means a lot to me. I've had so many of you encourage my ukulele playing and tell me I sound great, even in moments where I know that I don't. And for a person like me, that truly means a lot. And it means a lot to be able to share my love of music and albums that mean stuff to me and bands that mean something to me. And like I said, this is today's stack. If you weren't here for the whole video, Buck Dharma flat out, BOC all the way, Love and Rockets. Oh, that's my unopened copy. Hold on. Black Oak, Arkansas, and Sabbath. Ronnie Van Zant. I agree, dude. Man, Ronnie Van Zant. He was so damn cool, dude. Such stage charisma, and what a voice. And those guys knew how to write songs. Not only that, but those guys were a hell of a band. They were a big band. Like, people don't realize how big of a band Skynyrd was. And for all those members to make it sound as beautiful as it does, dude, now that's talent. Real talent. Real musicians. Oh, man, good for you. Yep, that's about the 20 years old, and that's a great time to get into it. Oh, you're from Jacksonville, home of Lynyrd Skynyrd. Right on, dude. Heck yeah. I'm originally from Kansas, which isn't the home of much. But yeah, you up there that got the turntable in the collection from your grandfather, man, cherish that and keep it, and I'm sure you will. But those records will mean more to you than anything else throughout the years. Every time you put those on, no matter what condition they're in, and you hold them in your hand, you're going to have that special feeling, and you're going to know your grandfather loved those albums and cherished them, and imagine the quiet, reflective times he had with those albums. The gift of music is the best thing you could ever pass down to your kids or your loved ones or friends or anything else. Yep, that's true. And towards the end, I don't know how far you are into Lynyrd Skynyrd band members and history, but Steve Gaines, the guitarist that they added right towards the end, I think he appeared on a couple albums before then, definitely Street Survivors, but Steve Gaines, that dude was going places further than Skynyrd, in my opinion. And whenever Skynyrd would have ended, if they ever did, but Steve Gaines could have been the guitarist for any group. He was that good. The dude could play. Dang right, dude. Like I said, yep, right beside your guitars, man. Yep, I used to play guitar for years. I played around with guitar. I was in a punk band with a friend of mine, and it was a really bad punk band named Plan 9, named after the Misfits record label, because, of course, we were in our punk rock phase, and I don't think I ever got out of my punk rock phase. But anyway, we started a band without practicing, without doing anything, and we spent an entire summer self-destructing, and that's about it. We didn't write, we didn't practice, we just went in the studio, grabbed our stuff, and thought we could lay down songs. And because that's how young, naive, and stupid we were at the time. And what we ended up with was $1,000 bill and nothing usable. I wish I could have those recordings now just so I could put them out there and show other people cringy stuff and be like, this is just proof that it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. Just do your thing, and the experience is worth it. Oh, you're from Texas, dude. What part? I spent a little time in Texas, Wichita Falls. Burke Burnett is where my brother lived. Wichita Falls is near there, right across the Oklahoma border. And I was there for anywhere from 2 to 3 months. And then I had to leave because my brother was just in a really bad place at the time, and it wasn't good for me at the time because I was trying to get my life together. I'm 8, 9 years clean and sober, no drinking, no drugs. I smoke marijuana, of course, and then I'm on medications, but the hard rock and roll lifestyle in me kind of went out the window about 10 years ago. Gotcha. I haven't been to Houston. I haven't, but it's beautiful, and is that where Rocky Erickson's from? And the Butthole Surfers, that scene? No, that's Austin, right? Austin. Okay, I don't know where Austin is compared to Houston, but I know Texas has a huge psychedelic alternative rock scene, which a lot of people wouldn't think that about Texas, but Texas is musical. It's also the home of several of the best songwriters in the world. In the world, quite a music scene. Billy Bob's Texas is there. The biggest Gillies is there. Yeah, Texas is the place to be. That's for sure. Robert Earl Keen. I don't know if he's from Texas, but he's always mentioned in the Texas realm of things. And he's a great songwriter. I don't know enough about his personal story to know where he's from. Oh, dude, man. Billy Gibbons and ZZ Top. What a band, man. What a band. And they mastered rock, pop, and blues and melded it together for the ultimate Eliminator, the album I showed you earlier if you weren't in here. And for those of you that weren't in here earlier, but this album, yellow vinyl, this album is fantastic. ZZ Top was amazing. I was really, really sad when one of them died. It was last year or the year before. Really sad. Just a bunch of good guys that love to play music. They did it for the pure love of it. I mean, don't get me wrong, they made a career out of it and made money out of it, but that came from hard work and dedication. And their first couple albums, they didn't have the big beards and stuff. That came along later. By the 80s, they had adopted that look, and just in time for the music video phase of MTV, or height of the MTV music video craze. And with Legs and Sharp Dressed Man and things like that. How could you go wrong with that album? But I highly suggest everything they've ever done. I'd put them, just like people like Edgar Winter and things like that, I'd check out everything he did, ZZ Top first, of course, but he's another electric blues guy that I think of all the time. But yeah, dude, Texas is the place to be. I can't handle the heat and humidity there anymore. I'm from Kansas where it's dreadful. Like step off the plane there or step outside your door if you live there and you're drenched in humidity and sweat the entire time. Sticky and gross. I've been out here on the Pacific Northwest for 8, almost 9 years now, and I'm on the coast now where it rains most of the year. It's nice and cool during the summer. We reached 96 this last summer, but this year, I'm hoping it stays within its normal high of 70. Right on, dude. Yeah. Definitely give those a couple extra spins for sure. ZZ Top. If you whatever albums you have, I'd be interested in seeing what they are for sure. Because this is the only one I have at the moment. But I'm hoping to run into a couple at the thrift stores or anything like that. Yeah, sticky hot. When I was in Texas with my brother, dude, I had a great time. A lot of barbecues. Like everybody there is in their backyard barbecuing, it seemed like. But it was one of those things where, hold on a second, my cat's trying to get my birds. Kit Kat, no man. Bad girl. But yeah, when we were there, everybody seemed to barbecue in their backyard and stuff, and I was dying from the heat. My brother lived in a trailer and didn't have air conditioning, and like I said, I lasted about 2 or 3 months, and then when he started to get too wild for me, I got out of there. But yeah, I'm not sure what else to discuss or go through today. Like I said, I'm feeling a lot better. I had an infection, so it's kept me from doing a lot of my lives and ukulele videos and stuff because I had to cut them so short. Dude, AC is necessary at all times. I am not a heat stroke kind of guy. I'm really not. And like we live here on the coast now, we don't need an air conditioner here per se. But this last summer when it got up to 96, even here, I was dying. I sat on the patio. I with iced tea all day. Luckily, we have an ice maker that helped, but it was horrendous. Even with the nice cool breeze here, I'm 4 blocks away from the Umpqua River, which feeds right into the Pacific Ocean, and the Pacific Ocean from my front door is exactly 4 miles. Like literally a couple-minute drive, and I'm on the beach. Even though I rarely go there, I need to go there more often. But like I said, it rains most of the year here. But yeah, humidity and heat, Midwest and down south. But on the upside of Texas, everybody I met there was cool. Everybody was very welcoming, even for a long-haired, tattooed guy like me. They didn't look at me sideways. They didn't treat me badly. They were welcoming. Hell, I was invited to more houses and more barbecues there than any other place in my life. For real. They didn't like me in Kansas where I was from, and in Texas they were like, come on, brother, come over, have some ribs, turn on a record. It was awesome. People playing music in their yard. Heck yeah, I'm sure all of Texas isn't like that, but the part I was in, I was lucky. I experienced it. It was great. One of the better experiences I've ever had. Oh, dude, man, thank you so much, man. And so are you. I can't wait to talk to you more, dude, because I have a feeling we have a lot in common. Just the part of the country that you're from, for sure, because like I said, I grew up in Kansas. I grew up in Kansas right by the Oklahoma border. So, well, about 2 hours from the Oklahoma border, hour and a half, 2 hours to Tulsa. So to jump into Texas wasn't far from there, honestly. But yeah, trust me, I know heat and humidity, and I know the culture there, and I just like the Pacific Northwest because it gave me more opportunity, and it gave me opportunity to be myself where I didn't really have that in Kansas. And like I said, Texas was too hot for me, and my brother got too wild for me, so I had to cut out of there for my own well-being, or I probably wouldn't be alive today. But we've all got stories like that, I'm sure. But like I said, I did enjoy my time there. All right, guys, like I said, I'm getting over. I've been to Kansas in the winter. First time I saw snow. Oh, dude. Kansas in the winter can be brutal. Sometimes 10, 15 below even. There's parts that the part I was in stopped getting a lot of snow because, you know, things change and times change. But when I was a kid, 3, 4 feet of snow was normal. Like they'd plow the streets and we'd have 10-foot snow banks and stuff in front of our house. Like it snowed a lot when I was a kid. I'm 47 now, so you know, do the math on that. In the 1980s, yeah, and even in the 1990s when I was in middle school and high school, yeah, and winters there still are cold as heck, dude. That wind feels like a knife going through you. It's bitter, stinging, burning your hands cold. I've only been cold like that here maybe once or twice the entire time I've been here. Now I've endured a hot summer here. We had 115 degrees in Roseburg, which is in the valley. It's a little logging town inland where we lived for about 5, 6 years. No, we lived there longer than that. We've been here almost 2, so about 7 years we lived there. 6.5, 7 years, and dude, it got brutal there. But here on the coast, like I said, I'm a lot luckier because 96 here on the coast is really hot for the coast, and it feels really hot, but it doesn't feel like 96 degrees inland because we have a breeze at all time, and with the ocean and the river right there. But I'm just not built for the heat. I never have been, and the older I get, the harder it gets. You know what I mean? This getting old stuff. tell you that. That's my niece trying to call in again. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to jump off here today, at least for the moment. I've got my boy that I need to take care of, and I need to finish some kitchen work and make sure my niece doesn't have a dire emergency, you know. But I enjoyed talking to every single one of you. Purple Haze, I hope I'm saying that right, and I'm probably not. What does that say? Alright, I can't pronounce your screen name because I can't hardly see it. I need to put my glasses on next time. I'm getting used to having readers. Makes me motion sick still, so I usually don't have them handy. But it was great talking to you, dude. Great talking to all of you. Please tune in again, dude. Dude, right on, man. Right on. And you have a killer day, dude. Purple Haze, right on. Dude, I'm a huge Hendrix fan. Hey Joe, which I'm sure you recognized. Yeah, I'm a huge Hendrix fan, dude. Huge. I've got a Jimmy Live at Berkeley album in my... No, Jimmy Live at Monterey Pop, which, you know, is the performance that made him. Yeah, Hey Joe, which Billy Roberts wrote the original. I suggest you go back and check that out, too. There's so many different versions of that song. When I played, I used the Hendrix intro, but I can't play like Hendrix, so that's about as far as it goes. And then the rest I adapt his version of the verse, but I don't do all the fancy stuff he does on that. Oh, dude, lucky you. My favorite Hendrix release, which I know it's not an official album, was the Greatest Hits album that came out in the 90s that had him on the front in the Beatles, like Sgt. Pepper's type suit, and had like a purplish silver color to it, if I remember right. But that was my first Hendrix experience. It had Hey Joe, Purple Haze, Wind Cries Mary. You can't go wrong with Hendrix. Even if it was just him playing and at studio outtakes, you can not go wrong, dude. Same with Stevie Ray Vaughan, man, which was heavily influenced by Hendrix. But I'm not a huge Stevie Ray Vaughan fan as far as his songs or albums, but when I hear the dude play, I always stop and pay attention to the video or song that's on because his playing is phenomenal. And he was a highly dedicated guitarist. He's from Texas, too, of course. All right, dude. I hope to see you around, dude, for real. And you take it easy, bro. And I'll see you super soon, man. Thank you so much.